Hello, everybody, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live series that I've been doing over the summer, which I promised you I would do. And I am so excited to have Krista Mollion here. She's a top LinkedIn voice. Krista, thank you so much for joining us. We are so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, Samantha. I'm super excited because I think a lot of creators underestimate the summer,
Mm.
but visibility is where it's at. So while everyone else is pausing, they can believe that we're going to dive in to show your viewers and my audience how we can actually use the summer to gain traction.
Yes.
So let's talk about showing up smart. Before we dive in, I did want to mention that I have a free gift. So anybody who's starting to trickle in and join, here's what I want you to know is that I've prepared a PDF that has all the summer tips, what you can do to get more visibility. And if you want it, there's only one thing I ask you in return. It's please leave comments under the LinkedIn Live that says summer tips. And I promise you, I'll answer every one and I'll give it to you.
Yay. So, summer tips, they just have to type in. Okay, great. Okay, well, Krista, for people who don't know you, obviously I'm in Ireland. So, for people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. You have a very impressive background.
Absolutely. Thank you. So I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years and I've always worked in marketing. I ran a B2B SaaS agency that specialized in interactive AI technologies way back in the day before AI was even a thing. Um, and we've always been trying to create interactive experiences for viewers and for brands. And I sold my agency in 2017 and became a solopreneur. And since then, I discovered LinkedIn. That's how we eventually
Mhm.
met. And I've had the pleasure of growing an engaged audience and becoming even a LinkedIn top voice. So today, I run a small marketing agency called Unignorable Brands, where our mission is just like it sounds to help you go from feeling invisible to unignorable, as well as working as a fractional CMO so that I can serve more smaller brands who maybe don't need a full-time CMO.
Yes, and that's really popular these days, isn't it? Because I see a lot of people advertising for fractional CMOs as well. So it's amazing the way things are changing. So look, people are probably on their lunch hour over here. So let's get stuck in and give you as many tips as possible, everybody. We want to give you lots of value. So why is summer a secret growth season?
Well, let's be honest, algorithms don't take vacation.
Yeah.
So if you think mistakenly that you can just leave because your customers aren't active, you're going to hurt your own growth because the algorithm rewards you for consistency.
Mm.
So before you get despaired and say, well, I want to have a life during the summer, I also have some vacation plans, holiday plans. There's plenty of things we can do to find the middle ground. But I think the fewer posts means the less visibility you're going to
Mm.
have. Um, Also, you have to remember that while you feel like it's slower in the summer, the competition is also slower in the summer, which means more visibility for new audiences who maybe won't see your posts during the regular months because it's too
Mm.
crowded. So the less crowded, the more active you actually should be because that's a huge missed opportunity. Um, and you also have to remember that we are attached to the hip by our mobile phones, love it or
Mhm.
hate it. That's just how we live today. And even if you're not in the office, what are you going to do when you're sitting in the airport lounge, flight delay? You're going to pull out your mobile phone. What are you going to do when you're at the beach and you're in one of those lounge chairs with a beautiful umbrella over you? Sooner or later, you're going to want to just check what's happening on your favorite social platform, check your emails, and you're going to want to
Mm.
consume some content. So don't think just because people are out of the office that they're offline.
Yeah, I actually brought this up yesterday as well. It's totally true. I often say, think of what you're doing with your phone when you're on holidays. Like, I know for me, when I'm on holiday with my husband, I like to have that little like half hour time with my cup of tea where I can just go on my phone and just, get that little break for myself. So I totally get that. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please do. Where are you joining us from, Krista?
Well, that's a great question. As you can see, I'm outside. I have a nice shaded umbrella because it's a very sunny day, and I'm in the French Alps near Switzerland.
Wow. Yeah, it looks lovely where you are. Lovely. So,
Thank
so
you.
what are top content themes that to work with? So, can you give us some tips around that?
All right. So just like in the summer, you probably have a fashion wardrobe change. You don't dress the same in the summers, in the warmer months than you do in the winter. Well,
Hmm.
let's imagine that's the same for social media. So we're going to put on our summer content themes. And what are the summer content themes that I recommend? The first one is personal reflections. This is a good time because summer is actually the pivot month. You know, this is Q3 where everyone's like, oh my goodness, the fall is going to be my last chance to achieve certain goals by the end of the year. So there's this interesting bridge between the beginning of the year that just goes by way too fast, but we're not thinking, then the summer and then the fall. So use the summer to say, hey, here's my halfway point through the year. These are the lessons I've learned. Um, Maybe I'm updating my goals to do something different. And people just like those personal reflections. They build trust, they show a little bit of vulnerability, they show behind the scenes. Speaking of behind the scenes, I think that we are fascinated by reality shows, and I want
Mm.
to say that don't feel guilty. We all are interested in seeing what people are doing in their lives. Just look at Instagram reels. You know, you see people in their closets, in their bathrooms, in their cars. So show some on the road content. You know, even in the airport lounge, you can grab a nice little corner and record a quick video. Um, Especially if you have a little device, a little microphone that you clip on that will
Yeah.
reduce all the noise. Very easy to put in your pocket, about the same size as my little earbuds. Um, and, you know, what does your summer morning routine look like? What are, you know, take a stroll in a beautiful location. You're probably outdoors and film that. And even if you're talking about somewhat business related content, it will
Mm.
feel more casual and laid back, and people will be so much more interested. And the other thing is, I feel like you should be loyal to keeping your market up to date with your with tips, like I'm doing right now and you're doing right now. This is what I call timely thought leadership. So
Mm.
what's happening right now is it's summertime and we both work in marketing and our clients are worried about slowdowns. So we are going to be there for them in that moment because if we abandon our clients and go on vacation and close our doors, what is that? What kind of message is that setting for our clients who need new clients in the fall?
Yes, and that's that is the reason we're doing this, folks, today. Myself and Krista, we're always aligned. I mean, really, it's about adding value to our audience that we know. Look, we know it's tough out there. We know, trust us, like we know what you're going through, and we know that this can be a difficult time because decision makers are on holidays, but not everybody is on a holiday. But I know for me, Krista, that sometimes summer can be slow enough. But when I keep my presence consistent on LinkedIn, that brings dividends in the September, October part. I've noticed that before that they were like, "Oh yeah, I remember over the summer I was like, "What? Did you see that?" I was like, "Yeah, I was on holiday, but it's like, so it does work."
Well, you just hit on something I think we need to repeat to our audience is that the summer investment, you're planting seeds in the relationships, not in your
Mhm.
sales. And this can feel frustrating in the dopamine driven, instant gratification society. Sorry, but that's not going to happen. Summers feel slow because people aren't automatically ready to buy. I just had a sales call myself yesterday, and we're talking about for Q4. Like after vacation, we're going to hit the ground running, get in your contracts, get in your deposits, set a date to do whatever we're going to do. That's the way to do it in the summer.
Mm.
Don't rely on immediate sales. Plant seeds, use this slower time to have real conversations with people. And believe me, some of my best clients happen in the summer, but most of them end up closing the contract for the start date in the fall.
Yeah. True. We have a question actually. What should you even, Nasimi, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for tuning in. What should you do even when you're creating more content using all the strategy this summer, but the algorithm is not favoring you?
Oh my goodness, that's probably the best question today because that's what everyone's thinking right now. Because in general, the the algorithm has been tougher to crack.
Mm,
And I would say three tips is first of all, and this is going to be the theme today, if you take away one thing, is be consistent
hmm
because the person who wins in the end is never the one who quit. It's the person who said, you know what, I'm just going to keep on going. And I know that sooner or later it's going to work, rain or shine. I'm going to keep going. That's number one. Number two is analyze more what is working. And let's
Yeah.
say that your posts are doing terribly. Why don't you go find somebody who's doing well? Um, there's there's manual ways of doing this. For example, I'll tell you a quick one because I know we can talk about this all day. Is just go to the Boolean search on LinkedIn, that little search bar that's free at the top, and you can type in whatever theme you talk about, like social media marketing, and then you can look up um, top LinkedIn creators or influencers or followers of some, and you can actually type in the names of somebody who you admire, and then you can create a little spreadsheet and you can say, let me analyze what they're doing. Because if you love consuming someone else's content and it's doing well,
Mm,
then you have to extract the key components of why. Maybe their visuals are just incredible, like the visual quality. So what would be the solution there would be find some AI tools like Gamma AI, Beautiful.ai that can increase the beauty of your visual presentations. If it's more value driven, use AI to generate really beautiful one-page infographics that have a lot of value in them, so you can really analyze, or maybe it's short video and figure out what are they doing in their short videos. Maybe it's the length of the video, the backgrounds, the way they have a really good hook. Maybe it's the video editing that they have a very great, entertaining way of editing, and make notes. So first I would do this with your naked eye and be like, these are the things I love about this person's content. Write it
mm,
down, and
mm,
then you can actually copy and paste that into an AI tool like ChatGTP and say, I talk about social media marketing. I want to increase my engagement. My main platforms are, you know, can you analyze this content that's working very well and extract what this person or these people are doing
mm.
that is really making them stand out? Now take one of your posts and go back to ChatGPT and say, apply that strategy to my post and see what happens.
Excellent tip. Well done. Actually, I have another tip actually, about like even commenting during the summer, isn't that? Oh, so maybe you're going to talk about that. Actually, I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. I'll be quiet. So the next one, engagement strat. Oh, sorry, tactics for
Yeah.
content. Did we cover
Yeah,
that?
we'll
Sorry.
we'll,
Yeah,
we'll get into that. That's going to be part two because you're
yeah.
absolutely right. I know you're impatient to get there. So but let's just finish up what content you can be putting out, okay? And in my tips that I'm going to share, if you guys just joined in, we're going to be giving you some of checklists, and I will have some content ideas in there as well. So if you haven't yet, just type in the chat summer tips, and we'll make sure to get them to you. So what you can do in the summer, the first thing is what I call pillar content. So what is your weekly pillar content going to be? And this pillar content, by the way, should happen with or without you. Let that sink in. So I would say you should plan in 1 to 2 times a week having content that goes out rain or shine.
hmm
And the best types of content for pillar content would be a weekly newsletter. All right. And maybe you have, like for one of my clients, we've created two versions of the newsletter. We have like a more business related one that's very niche. And then we have a more broader one that's more casual. So one, on Mondays and Fridays, you could have two different newsletters going out. The other second type of pillar content I love is video, but
hmm
long video. And the long video would be videos that take you through the entire sales journey from top of funnel, middle of funnel to bottom of funnel. So let's say for us, for example, top of funnel video would be once a week I put out a video that could be like, what is social media marketing, or do you really need it? That would be just a general kind of video going into starting your first social media marketing strategy or becoming a LinkedIn expert. So I think there's different types of video you can do. So do 1 to 2 a week, obviously, and that can be pre-scheduled and batch scheduled using so many amazing tools. I want to give a quick shout out for a tool that I love, because I know that some people are daunted by tools because some of these tools are quite expensive. They add up. And the
Mm.
tool that I have is, I bought a lifetime deal to a tool called Hopper HQ. And I think I've mentioned to you this offline, Samantha, but this tool was incredible because it does everything that most of the social media tools do, but I paid one time for the rest of my life. And I can add many accounts to it. So it's an agency license, okay? So I just want to say that there is really no excuse. You just have to research and find a tool, and then you have an editorial calendar that even if you're on holiday, at the minimum you have peace of mind that your pillar content is scheduled. So your newsletter and your long video, once a week it's going out like clockwork. And then you fill in the rest of the week with the things we mentioned, like short videos on vacation, behind the scenes, personal reflections. Um, and remember, it's like a summer fashion. Keep it lighthearted. No one wants
Mm.
to go into some heavy educational trainings during the summer. That's my advice.
That is brilliant. We had a few comments coming in there for summer tips, so thank you, folks. We'll go back over them later. Well, Krista will go back over them later. We have one there, geotagging your content with ads. I don't know if you saw that one. Even in vacations, people are regularly checking LinkedIn. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, what's the next thing we're going to cover? Engagement strategies.
Yes. So finally, we get into part two, because I know you guys have been eager to hear that content isn't enough. You can really spend more time leaving comments. And I think engagement in the summer should be higher than in the winter, because it's a little bit slower. And so you have a little bit more downtime. So what I would like to do, and I like to tell my clients, is budget 30 minutes a day for engagement, but you can either do it in one blow, or you can do it 10 minutes 3 times a day. So maybe
Mm.
first thing in the morning, I log in, I check what notifications I have, and I really just spend 10 minutes responding to comments on my own posts, going through and leaving a couple of strategic comments. Then I close it. Then at lunchtime or early afternoon, I'll do it again. And then in the evening, I'll do it again. So it really is about just consistency, not spending hours and hours a day. And no, you do not need to engage with 100 people a day. I've seen some of this bad advice. I'm like, no, you do not. It's more about making sure that you're engaging on people's posts where there's a likelihood that their audience overlaps with yours and that your ideal customer would be following them or interested in them, and that they have a little bit larger audience, or they have a strategically positioned company role. Like if they're in a very hot startup, they may have 2,000 followers, but they're the head of marketing in that startup. People
Mm.
are going to be paying attention to their profile on LinkedIn, even if they're not an influencer, they really are an influencer. So look
Mm.
for hidden influence as well as big accounts. um, and don't do it too much, right? The other thing you can do for these low traffic months, which is June through September, is why don't you try to do more polls and questions?
Mm.
Um, and I actually like to do lead magnets, but I can't talk about lead magnets because 2 days from now I'm doing a live stream with Tracy Bedwell all about
That's
lead magnets. So if you want those, please follow my account because I'm going to share a lot of tips. But in the low traffic months, I love to work on my lead magnets. So one of the things, I'll just drop this, is you can do a quiz. And people love to talk about themselves and know how they stack up. So I call those quizzes scorecards.
mm.
So I'll be like, so tell me, what's your LinkedIn scorecard? What does that look like? And then you tally up the points and you say, you scored in the low range here. You really should be working on these things. You're doing pretty well, but here's a part where you're a little bit weaker. You didn't get as many points, so let's work on that. And this is a great way to grow your email list. So use something like a lead magnet to do that during the slow months. And in the slow months, you probably have a little extra time to work on those lead magnets. Whereas in the busy season, those get left behind. Um, and then last thing you can do is run mini campaigns around summer. For example, why not do if you're a social media manager or LinkedIn coach, why not do a 5-day LinkedIn growth challenge in the summer? And you can market that. Another thing I did last summer was I did a summer social selling cohort that was really popular, and it would go for 4 weeks each. So, and I marketed it in May. I got people to come in through the whole month of June. Then I asked my people, do you want to stay on and keep doing it? And a lot of them said yes. So I did a July one, and I enrolled new people and kept some of the old people. And those were 4-week summer cohorts to help them improve their social selling, which is a big weakness for most people. You got to get a little creative in the summer times, but there's plenty to do. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, this series of LinkedIn Lives. I think if we share our knowledge and add value, people will remember that you shared knowledge and add value. So you mentioned something about videos earlier, and you were saying what it looks like and all that. But sometimes folks just it's not about even what you look like. It's actually sometimes it's actually what you're saying and the content that you're saying. My most popular video, Krista, was when I had been caught in the rain and my eye makeup was rolling down my eyes. And I just went on and shared a story that had happened to me in the car park. And I looked terrible. It's my best video ever. And I look terrible in it.
Well, speaking of getting attention, I said get creative. So one video I did recently, uh, I actually was wearing my bathrobe. I had my hair up in a plastic, or no, in a towel, and I was doing like a hair mask, and I had a face mask on, one of those mud face masks. And I was like, I just decided now I was thinking about this topic. I just couldn't wait. I just decided to record it. And the topic I was talking about, I can't recall, but everyone was like, oh my God, I had to watch that video just because I was wondering what the heck's going on with you.
Well, this is it. You see, it's about the content, folks, as well, and people building that know, like, and trust factor, isn't it? And Barry has also jumped in there with his summer tips comment as well. So, welcome, Barry. Network building focus really is it's a really good time to build and expand your network.
Now, I know, Samantha, you're the networking queen. You're doing a lot of live events in Ireland. And I think that if you look, there's plenty of events happening even in the summers that
Mhm.
you can attend. Um, One thing you could be doing as well is like LinkedIn happy hours, and you could even say alcohol optional, like, or alcohol not focused on alcohol, but more like, in the summer, it's a casual time where people might just want to get together and do some more meetups, right?
Mhm.
Um, and like you're doing, this is a good networking thing where you're reaching out to people like me and doing collaborations.
Mm.
So, I'm a big advocate of podcasting for that reason.
And experimenting as well when the stakes feel, because it can be difficult and stakes do feel lower, I suppose. So, there are lots of different types of content, and I don't think people realize how many different types there are. Do you want to just give some of the tips of the content they can use, types of content?
Yes, I do, but I want to say that unfortunately my internet slowed down because I'm outside, so my apologies. If
No
you can't
problem.
hear me, just there may
We
be
can
a
hear you.
lag.
We
Okay,
can
okay,
hear you.
good. Um, so some of the content types that I would do would be live Q&As, like what we call AMAs, Ask Me Anything.
Hmm.
And you can do that in a post, and you can just say, I'm in the summer, I'm less busy, I have more time, I can answer your questions. I know that Gary V, who's a very popular marketer, he did every Friday, like he would go live on Instagram and be like, Ask Gary V, and he would pick some people to answer their questions. If you're less well known in your field, you just have to make sure you say what you're able to answer. Like, ask me anything about, and then insert your topic.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
I mean,
Yeah.
otherwise you might get some weird inquiries, especially if you're a woman, you know, like, are
Yeah.
you single? You never know.
Yeah. True. True.
You can also do Zoom meetups. So I remember in the pandemic times, that could be similar to summer where it was slower because we were all stuck kind of in places. And
Hmm.
people are like, let's just do some casual Zoom meetups and we can talk about what we're working on. We can figure out how to collaborate, support each other. And it would be more like a networking mixer, you know, a Zoom networking mixer where there isn't really any purpose except to meet new people. Um, and I think that could be a great idea. Doing podcasts. There are a lot of people who do collaborative carousels. If you go on LinkedIn, you will see there's a carousel and it's like we collaborated to build this carousel.
Hmm.
And also you can just interview people. You know, whether or not you want to call it a podcast or actually go all the way in the podcast, you could interview someone and then create a carousel of their answers, write a LinkedIn newsletter about their answers. Like I interviewed this person who did something amazing. Like I'm just going to give an example. Like you've hosted some incredible live events, and I would interview you all about that. I'd be like, how have you done that? And you know, this sounds like an amazing accomplishment. Tell the people who want to do events and who always fail or they're afraid to do events, tell us everything about it. And this could really be a great time to have this kind of ad hoc content that doesn't really fit into your regular yearly
Hmm.
content
Yeah.
calendar, but that could build relationships with the person as well as their audience as well as your audience. So you got to experiment, but mainly think about networking. Think about how much time per week can I reach out to somebody and just network with them. One last tip I'll share, and this is more advanced, but I think it could work for some people, is if you aren't getting a lot of engagement, but there's certain people who do keep coming back semi-regularly, so you kind of know in your head those names. So you're like, you
Yeah.
know, why don't you dedicate a gratitude day? So on Fridays, put together 30 minutes where you go through your last 10, 20 posts and you just really quickly do a visual scan through all of your likes, and you can even screenshot them and
Hmm.
highlight these are the people I'm going to send a personal DM. And you can even create a boilerplate DM. Hey Samantha, I hope your summer's going well. I just wanted to take a moment to let you know how much I appreciate all the support you've given me this year so far. I know things may get a little slower now, but I want you to know how much your support has meant to me. And I hope that you're having a great summer. You know, something really nice. And even better, bonus points if you do a voicemail, which is even quicker than typing. You know, you leave them a voice note. Now imagine coming on Fridays and getting such a lovely voice note, completely unexpected. That's good networking.
And can I add another tip? Maybe a video voice note, like a in LinkedIn message, and that can work too, I think.
So the problem with video voicemails is I've had problems loading them. So the technology isn't really there. So there's all
Mm.
these third-party tools that are more like lead gen tools where you can record videos and share them in the LinkedIn DMs. And then you have to log in and create an account and
Uh,
accept all the. So
uh,
it's like that's why I'm not such a big fan of videos. They don't really play. We're not there yet with LinkedIn where you can just quickly, there's not a camera button where you can just do it live inside the app, you know, as far as I know.
well,
Maybe.
normally what I do is I record it on my phone first, and then I send the video through the
so
message.
so for me, those videos they never save. So I'll upload them.
Okay.
They'll say you can't, they'll just load and they won't play. And then so I've had a lot of problems with
Yeah, you
those.
don't want to do that then. Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
don't do
yeah.
that.
But I
Yeah.
love the
That's good
idea
to
of
know.
video.
Good to
I
know.
love yeah, it's good to think about video. It's just I think voice notes are going to be easier, especially considering you're laying on the beach when you're doing all this. We're not assuming you're in your office. We're assuming you're
That's
on
true. Yeah,
vacation. You're
that's
going to
true.
do
Yeah,
gratitude Friday. You just grab your phone and do blah blah blah, and then
yeah.
people will. This is a good way to build relationships over the summer. And then also I for 3 years I did a summer LinkedIn launch boot camp in the summers. It was 6 weeks, and Um, I didn't do it last summer because my business shifted. I started doing more fractional CMO work. I had less time for these bigger community programs, but a lot of people loved it because in the summertime is when you should be thinking which digital products and which offerings you're going to launch in the fall. And there's a lot of things that need to be built in advance. So you don't start building September 1st. You have a plan. We're going to launch this in September. So we need to start marketing it and getting early enrollments, getting some money in, like deposit money or you know, beta testers or beta subscribers for this offer. So you know, you remember that in general, people take action when there's a juicy offer that's very specific and they're
Mm,
like, hey, I'm going to consider that offer. And you may have the same people in your audience for years and years and they love you, but they will never buy from you because you've
mm.
never made them an offer that they want. And so
Right.
telling people, you know, reach out if you need help with social media marketing or DM me or book a call, that's a temporary fix when you don't have a live offer. Like right now, I'm doing that because I'm redoing my website and I'm preparing all my offers. And I'm working hard this summer, by the way, on preparing my website. And then you'll never see that or hear that from me again because I don't like booking calls. I like selling to people. And even if it's a small product, I'm like, get into my 4-week boot camp, sign up for my low cost community, do something, but they pay because there's psychologically something when you get a dollar from someone. And this happens in the summertime. If you wait till the fall, smart people who've worked the whole summer are going to completely blow you away because their emails are going to go out, their offers are going to look amazing. So that's why I always did my boot camp for 3 years in a row in the summers.
So how
Um,
many would that be
mhm.
every week, the boot camp, or how's that set
Yeah,
up? I
yeah,
might do one actually. I'm thinking of
yeah,
doing one now, listening
yeah.
to you.
Well,
Yeah,
so I did 6 weeks and it was once a week, but then I have an online platform where they can have discussions amongst each other. They can
yeah.
ask questions about the curriculum. I had homework and hot seats, and I also had like video modules, like course style that they could watch. So let's say this week we're talking about how to write your pre-sales emails. And we're like, okay, you need to nurture people to get them prepared to buy your offer. You can't go straight into your sales uh, pitch, right? So you have to have over a longer course of time some really good emails that slowly build up recognition about you, keep you top of mind because you keep consistently sending them something, but you're not selling to them because that's a huge turnoff. If I don't even know anything about you, I don't know, like, or trust you, and you just come out and say, I'm doing a boot camp, enroll now. No, I need to know more about you first. And we
Mm,
can't assume that people know who you are. You
yeah.
may be posting so much, you post your little heart out online and you're like, well, why don't they check my resume? Why don't they check my
Mm,
LinkedIn professional experience? That's over now. In 2025, that's not what people care about. They will hire a CMO who's 22 years old over a CMO who's 50 at any day. There's ageism, there's bias, so instead of focusing on your CV, that's now you have to focus on providing bite-sized, valuable tips and solutions and opinions and in a fun way. Thank you. Thank you.
excellent. And Paula has joined us. She lives here in Wexford as well. So she has joined us. Thank you, Paula. Yeah, we're all getting great ideas here. Thank you so much. So yeah, so if we look at, if anyone has a question, by the way, I'm just going to put that up. If anyone has a question, please do comment and we will answer it while we have Krista here. We're really lucky to have her here. The key metrics then to track. So let's say if you start doing these tips and these experiments, what are the key metrics that we need to track?
So I really like to look at who's engaging on my posts and and I note that and then I try to do something for them. I'm thinking maybe I can collaborate with them in some way, even if it's just sending them a nice voice note or liking their post. So I want to show, like I said, gratitude Fridays. I'm also looking for which posts I got the most engagement on. So honestly, if you're really serious about this and your business is slow, you should be tracking this every time you post. So you
Mm,
shouldn't be thinking, oh, once a month I'm going to check my metrics. No, you should be saying, this week, what happened? I posted 5 times. Which is the winner of the week? Like, it looks like this post, and maybe if it's a pillar content, you can say, you can compare it to the other. Like, let's say your newsletter, you're like, this week's newsletter got 3 times more engagement than the last week. And then you analyze how so, what was interesting about it, right? And
mm,
have discussions about those metrics. If you have a social media manager or a VA, you can have discussions with them. What went well, what didn't go well. Maybe we can brainstorm. You can also use ChatGPT. You can also ask ChatGPT. So this one performed really well. What do you think were the good points in there? And then help me mirror that for the future, like to add those components for my future newsletters, to improve them. And then you should be thinking about creating shareable, savable content. Sometimes we
mm.
forget that, but obviously it's a mix. Like I want to do some short form videos that just maybe share a nice tip. But I also maybe want to put out some long form video that really educates people, or carousel posts that give them something they can really use. And then they're going to share if it's very emotionally triggering for them, if it's like a very inspiring thing, or they're going to save if it's a almost a tutorial. They're like, wow, this is something that I would pay for. It's so good, right? So always
Yeah,
think, analyze, did anyone share or save my content? And if the answer is no, go look at someone who has a high number of shares and saves, and look at a couple of those people, and pay attention and say, you know, am I, should I intentionally be trying to create a little bit more content like this?
yeah.
What did they do that made it shareable and savable, right? And then look at your inbound connection requests and see, like, if I'm not getting inbound connection requests from my target audience, then I need to be going out and finding them. So you have to find that balance where you're putting yourself on the radar of people who are in that ideal customer group. More
Mm.
followers means nothing if they aren't going to buy from you, if they're not in that buying range. So if you're looking, and this could be also local, meaning like, this is a thing where you have to make extra effort because LinkedIn will peg you into your locality. So let's say that you're in Ireland, but you want to work with clients in the US. Well, LinkedIn is not going to just give that to you. You're going to have to fight for it. So you're going to have to say, okay, I'm not getting inbound connection requests from anyone in the US who could be a potential customer. So now I'm going to have to go out and start engaging much more with that specifically,
Mhm.
so that those people start looking at my profile, and so that the algorithm knows that I'm very interested in that, you know? Uh,
Exactly. Yeah. You know what? These are fantastic tips, folks. Please do comment if you have a question while we have Krista here. This is a huge opportunity for us to learn from a top LinkedIn top voice. Yeah. So I suppose to summarize so far, it's about. I don't know if you have a summary, but I can give a summary just from my notes here. So for anyone that wants to watch this back, by the way, this will be on LinkedIn. You can watch it back. So what we covered were the why summer is a secret growth season, the top content themes that work in summer, tactical content tips, engagement strategy for lower traffic months, and network building focus, and also experimenting while the stakes feel lower. Key metrics as well to track in summer. And you know what? We could actually probably turn this into some kind of thing afterwards anyway, to summarize all of those.
Well, that's one thing we didn't talk about, but repurposing. So I
Mm,
really do believe you shouldn't be posting fresh content 12 months of the year. I
mm,
believe that there's this pillar content that can be repurposed many ways. For example, a live stream or a podcast where
mhm,
there's video could be turned into a carousel, like the top 10 takeaways from this event today. Like, what were the tips Krista shared? And that could be put out as an article, like via LinkedIn newsletters, and it could be sent to your email list with almost no problem, because all you do is you take the transcript of this call and you upload it to an AI tool, and you ask AI to summarize the key takeaways, Then you review it. I never copy and paste anything just purely from AI. I review it and I say, how can I humanize this? What did they miss? Maybe you said something that didn't sound like a top tip for the chatbot, but I thought it was great, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then maybe I'll go back and find a quotable from you as well. I'll go back and I'll be like, oh, she said a couple of things that I found really quotable. Um, and then maybe you'll add your key takeaway summary. Like, based on all of this, I feel like the main things that she said was consistency, go lighter on the content, more casual, less formal, focus more on engagement. Like, we could put together a couple of bullet points that would be the gold nuggets, if you will. And so there you go. That's already like several pieces of content just from one video. So guys, you don't have to do everything from scratch all the time. You
Yeah.
should be repurposing. And if you do put out great newsletters or great YouTube's videos or great live streams, why don't you hire a VA with a marketing background who can repurpose these things for you? So there's all these VAs who have like email writing skills, social media writing skills, and you can say, go through my top performing newsletters, my top performing videos, my top viral posts, and find ways to repurpose and then show that to me. And if I approve it, then we'll produce that and put it out.
It's funny because I was in a conversation earlier before this about someone that said, oh, we wanted to connect with a certain group of people. And she said, well, actually, the time we did this, it was really good. It really worked well. And I'm like, well, then let's do that again and see if we can do it better. So it's like sometimes we have to kind of look and it's right in front of us and we don't realize. And like even this with Restream, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Krista, Restream now, when this is finished, they will send me clips for short form video.
I haven't used that one yet, but just yesterday, I work on a podcast for one of my clients who does StreamYard, and I noticed right away it's like beta feature AI clips. So we're trying it. We're trying to see how that works. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
then Opus
this is the
Pro as well.
future.
Yeah, you've Opus
This
Pro as well. Yeah, that's good.
Opus Pro, there's just so many ways. And the bottom line, I think we should remind the audience that ultimately social media means nothing except being social. And
Mm.
being social doesn't mean putting out content. It means vetting the reactions, trying to engage deeper with the people who are there, trying to reach a certain demographic. And you do that with any means possible. So don't
Well, it's
get
like
too overly focused, you know?
I'm going to give you an example. I'm give you an example of Paula who commented, and it's like, oh, there's Paula. Actually, myself and Paula were supposed to meet for a cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? We just haven't got around to it. But the summer is a perfect time for me to go and meet people and have the cup of tea. So just nurture those relationships. So Paula, I'll be in touch later.
For me, it would probably more be a mojito in the summer, but that's another story. But this has been lovely. Thank you so much for having me. Now, just a reminder for your audience and my audience, anyone watching live or on the replay, you guys can get our best LinkedIn summer tips. You just have to comment summer tips, and you can do this even later because I'll still be checking the notifications and I'll make sure to personally send those to you so that you have some inspiration, some guidance of like how to spice up your content and your engagement during the summer.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Krista. Please connect with Krista, give her a follow, check out her summer tip offer. Do put your comments in there. And yeah, thank you so much, Krista. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Oh, we have another
You
chat.
too.
I just want to
Ah.
check the last comment. Just want to check. Mojito, he said. Thank you. Thanks, Fiona. Thank you. Bye.